Social networking tools can be very useful in our personal lives, but how can we get that same benefit in a work environment and still maintain appropriate security and privacy? Hi, I'm David Brockington. I work in solution management at SAP, and today I'd like to show you how SAP Streamwork can help you plug into the social networks in your organization.
The fact is, many social networks already exist in your organization. You don't need to create new networks. What you really need to do is to understand and leverage the networks that already exist. In this example, I've logged in to Streamwork as Susan Vogel, a sales account manager at a fictional company called Peak Trends. I have an opportunity that I'm working on with one of my accounts, and there is a possibility of a joint sale with Kohl's. So I need to find out quickly who is responsible for the Kohl's account. I do a search within the New People section of Streamwork for Kohl's, and I find Duncan Williams. I mouse over the result, and I get some key information. I see his title is Sales Account Manager, so I'm pretty sure I've got the right guy. I like to know more about the people I'm going to work with, so I click on More Details to see a fuller profile. Here I can see some contact information for Duncan. I can look at his Streamwork feed to see the types of things he's been posting. And I can look at his work history, which will show his latest actions on any Streamwork activities that I'm allowed to view. Sometimes seeing what a person does at an organization is the most useful insight of all. Now that I have an idea of Duncan's job description and what he does at the organization, I would like to understand where he fits in the organizational structure and who he works with, to really understand his networks. Duncan is part of several networks. Here we can see his place in the reporting hierarchy of the company. He reports to Brian Johnson, who rolls up to Bruno Anderson. I see that Bruno reports to Robert Dumont, who is the CEO of the company. But these days, the informal working relationships are even more important than the formal reporting hierarchy. So by changing the network view to collaborates with, I can get some insight into who Duncan works with most frequently. I can also explore the account team network. I can see that besides Kohl's, Duncan is responsible for 2 additional accounts, JCPenney and Macy's. And by clicking on Kohl's, I can see all the other people who are part of the overall account team.
An important point to note is that these social networks are available without having to invite people or request connections as in other social networking tools. That's because technology is used behind the scenes to auto-detect and generate the social networks based on company data. It also means that people's profiles will automatically contain rich, useful information about their expertise and what they do, so that you can search and quickly find the right people to collaborate with. We call this social intelligence.
And finally, I want to understand how I connect to Duncan. By clicking on the Connect button, I can see various connection paths between Duncan and myself. I can see that he works with 2 consultants that I often work with, Christian and Luis, and so now I know that I can ask either of them to introduce me. So now I've found the person in the organization I was looking for, and I have a much better understanding of his background and social networks. I can now choose to take some action based on that insight. I can choose to follow Duncan in Streamwork so that I can be updated on his latest status and work, or I can choose to invite him to collaborate with me in a Streamwork activity. And if I find I'm collaborating frequently with Duncan, I can add him to one of my contact lists. Of course, it's worth mentioning that all this comes with the robust security and privacy protection capabilities that you expect from SAP. I hope you've enjoyed learning how you can use the social intelligence features of SAP Streamwork to leverage the power of a social network in a business context, to immediately participate in a company-wide network without inviting or requesting connections, to quickly find experts by searching your network, and to explore connections to learn the best way to be introduced. The basic version of SAP Streamwork is free. Try it today at streamwork.com.